am going to record this for no other reason than if anybody has missed these sessions and they feel so inclined to just, get to know their counselor a little better, then they can watch it back. All right, so it is 6:02. I think I'm just gonna go ahead and start talking because I appreciate that you all were on time. So I'm gonna honor that and honor this time because I also know that it has been maybe a little bit of a longer day. If you've been to multiple sessions, well, I think there's only one session before this, and I know that there were sessions earlier this week. So, again, it could be a long day. So I'll honor this time. So I am going to ask people to turn their camera on. There's only 3 students and 2 peer coaches here today. I really don't want to just talk to myself. Thank you, Vishwa, for setting the example. If you need to fix your hair real quick or something, the air conditioner broke in my house this morning, can you tell? But please, if everybody could turn on their cameras, I would really, really appreciate that. If for some reason you can't, please feel free to private message me on Zoom. But if you could, I'd appreciate it. I'm going to give another 30 seconds for people to turn their camera on. But if everyone turns their camera on before that, aside from Amanda, who let me know, then we can keep moving. So, Vishwa, how's your day today? We'll just wait for people to turn their camera on.
My day is going good.
Good.
I've been in and out of meetings.
Yes.
Snacking a little bit.
Good. I've also been in and out of meetings today. Also, my air conditioner broke this morning. It is fixed for the most part now, but it is probably going to break again. So I'm doing the best I can. I've had about 19 glasses of water today. That's maybe an exaggeration, but it feels like it.
Have my water. Just because you reminded me.
Yes, hydrate people. It's very important.
Yeah.
All right. So we have our 3 students. Giselle. Oh, do we have a camera? We have a camera. Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. We have another camera and we have another camera. Yes, 3 for 3. And Amanda is going to join us soon. This is the most exciting moment of my life. Truly, I've never gotten 100%, so I'm very happy. Thank you all. Appreciate you. So I'm going to share my screen for a brief moment, very brief. And then ultimately, I want this time to let you guys ask questions, for me to ask you questions. I just want to get to know each other. Vishwa here and Amanda are going to be your peer coaches in our cohort. So the way that we do things for EOF is cohort based. We have myself, Sarah Rubright, then we have Mrs. Waters, who has her cohort of students, and then we have Mr. Jones, who has his cohort of students. But all together we make one office, okay? So it's not like we're super divided or anything like that, and you'll get to interact with people of other cohorts, but we just do that because 1, it's easier logistically, but 2, so you get to know your cohort within the cohort a little bit better. So let me go ahead and share my screen. I appreciate you all so much. You're my favorite students. I'm probably not allowed to say that, but I will. Here we go. All right. So again, here I am. I am your EOF counselor. You are stuck with me for forever. That's it. If you were in the last session, you probably heard me talk about, I was texting with one of our alum during the session because they had an obstacle in their life and they wanted to reach out, and we're troubleshooting and we're going to work it out, right? So that is me in 4 or 5 years for you. We are going to always talk no matter what. I'm here for you all forever. I hope that we have a lifelong mentor-mentee relationship. The other thing is that, when I talk about mentorship, which I'll talk about mentorship a lot, probably to the point that you get sick of it, but mentorship is such an essential part of your success. And so if you haven't had mentors before, we'll talk a lot about what that looks like, but it really is just somebody who you admire, who is in your corner, right? Who's supporting you for you, not for any other agenda that they have, just because it's just that they want you to be successful, right? So I'm going to be an advocate for you. I'm going to be a resource for you. If you've been in one of my sessions before, I've talked about self-advocacy, which I will talk to you a lot about, right? You are in this experience, you deserve attention and time from people. That is how you start to advocate for yourself, is recognizing that you deserve that attention and time from people, right? But we'll talk about that. And in addition to self-advocacy, I'm an advocate for you, right? So a lot of times, which Amanda is one of my students, but a lot of times I'll be like, hey, you should send this email and copy me on it, right? And so when you copy somebody on an email, if you haven't done that before, it just means that even though you're sending it directly to one person, you're also looping in somebody else so they also get that email. It just means that it's not like directed towards them, right? But they're looped into that email thread. I say that all the time. It's probably one of my like most common phrases in life. And I think that that's important because if ever I notice that something is like a little off, or maybe somebody's not advocating for you the way that they should, or supporting you the way that they should as like a staff person or a faculty member, then that's my time to step in and be like, hey, we should probably figure this out, right? And so that's what I mean by being an advocate for you. Also just like looking for, opportunities for you, making sure that you are getting the most out of your college experience. So when Mrs. Waters, she said, we're kind of like guidance counselors for college. We're like way better than that, in my opinion. No shade to guidance counselors at all. But I think that we're way better because, you're on this collegiate journey to the rest of your life, and we get to be a part of that and advocate for you in that. And then just, using me as a resource, I'll always say utilize the people around you as a resource, because I'm here for you. Like I said it before, I'll say it again. I would not have a job if you all weren't here. I am purely here for you. I would do something else, I'm sure, like I don't want to be an issue, but I'm very happy to be here for you all. There's plenty of other jobs that I could do. This is the one that's very important to me. But this only exists because you all are doing what you're doing and pursuing this path. Okay, I don't like talking too much about myself, so I thought that I would make this into a little bit of a game, which the odds are very much in your favor because there's only 3 of you. So I have a little quiz, and whoever wins will get a little something, probably after this, because I'm gonna have to watch back the answers later. So anyway. And that's a lesson on checking your email, but I'm rambling now. So I have a little quiz about myself, because I think that in building relationships, transparency is very important. And you all need to know who you're working with, right? You've already kind of determined I'm a little weird, a little quirky. That's fine. I promise that that's not going to inhibit my way to advocate for you as a student. I'm very, very much excited and very skilled at my job, I will say, to my own form. But so I want you to get to know me a little bit better. We'll do this little quiz. So I want you to drop in the chat. I'm going to do all the questions at the same time, because last time I did this, it was very difficult for me to go back in the chat and see who won. So if you do, there's 5 questions. If you answer, do like 1, 1x, that's not an answer, but 1x, 2x, 3x, 4x, 5x, right? Everybody good? Give me a thumbs up or nod. Cool. All right, so first question. Where is my favorite place to travel? Is it A, Italy, B, Germany, C, New Orleans? Second question, where did I go to school? Is it A, Rutgers University, B, Rowan University, or C, Delaware State University? All right, that works too. If you label your answer, I'll accept that. Or you can do it all at once. Anyway, question 3, where do I live currently? So is it A, Cherry Hill, B, Pennsauken, C, Philadelphia? Question 4, how many times did I change my major in undergrad, which is what you all are going into? Undergrad is just a fancy term for college, but it's that first part of college. A, 3 times, B, 8 times, which is the campus record, C, 1 time. And then question 5, how long have I worked at Rutgers-Camden? A, 3+ years, so like 3.5 years. B, 7 years, or C, 5 years. I should have put this on like a timer or something, so that would make it harder. All right, we'll give it till 6:11 now. So 6:13. Oh, we got some answers. Great. Giselle said 1A Italy. You said 2, what is it? I'm really like, my brain is not comprehending. 2, you said Rutgers. 3, you said Cherry Hill. 4, you said 8 times the campus record. 5, you said 5 years. And can I ask my other wonderful students to unmute yourselves and pronounce your names for me, because I have a personal pet peeve that I don't like to pronounce people's names wrong. And Giselle, if I'm saying your name incorrectly, please let me know. Maybe I should just have everyone introduce themselves. That'd probably be better, right? Giselle, I'm good. Aslam, am I saying your name?
Yes, you can also call me Ozzy or whatever you like.
Okay, but what do you prefer?
I prefer Ozzy.
Ozzy, but your name is pronounced Aslam?
Yes, awesome.
Great. And then Theme, am I pronouncing correctly? Theme, okay. Cool. If I'm not, yell at me, please. It's like such a pet peeve. My name is Sarah. It's a very common name. But a lot of people spell my name without the H, which, it takes a personal offense, especially if I'm writing emails. It's right there, right? So anyway, I'm sure that each of you probably have people spell your names wrong all the time. So I should just stop. But anyway, we have our answers in. If one of the peer coaches could tell me who has gotten these answers correct, that would be great, because I'm really bad at multitasking. And that's also a fun fact about myself, which is good because that means I give you my whole undivided attention when I'm working with you. All right, so first things first, if you said A, I think it was, no, it was C. So sorry. If you said C, then you are correct. My favorite place to travel is New Orleans. So fun fact, I've been there twice. I'm actually planning to go back a third time with family in February of next year. We're going to do a big family trip because we haven't spent a lot of time together within this last year. And so my husband's family and my family are going to do a whole big thing to New Orleans, and I'm very excited. Fun fact, I very much live to eat when we are back on campus. Oh, Amanda, it's the best place ever. When we're back on campus, I will show you all the spots around campus for places to eat. I'm a self-proclaimed foodie. I love food. So this is me around food. This is also my adorable mom. She's wonderful. So yeah. Some of my other favorite places to go are Germany, Ireland, and Italy. My husband has a little bit of family in Ireland. He's a very Irish human being. And Germany I've been to, and Italy I've been to, and I love those places. But my favorite place is probably New Orleans because it's easier to get to than any of those other places. And I get motion sick, so that's not fun. If you answered A, I think it was, I'm a forever Rutgers student. So fun fact, I did go to school at Rutgers-Camden. I probably said this in one of the sessions earlier this week. I graduated with my bachelor's degree in urban studies from Rutgers-Camden. Then I graduated with my master's degree in public policy and administration at Rutgers-Camden. Now I am a student again for like what feels like the 19th time at the School of Social Work, which is technically Rutgers New Brunswick, so I'm kind of switching it up, but really barely. And then another fun fact about myself is that I was a first generation college student. My wonderful mom, who's adorable there, she did not go to school. She also is like a crazy musician. And so if you can imagine wild musicians that play until 2 a.m, play their guitar, don't really support college students very well. So my mom and I have a wonderful relationship. She's one of my best friends, but that's not to say that I don't I won't understand any struggles, right, of what maybe some of you are going through with your families. You can have a great relationship with somebody and they still not support you correctly, right? And so that was tons and tons of conversations with her about, boundaries and about how to support me and about please don't plug in your amplifier at midnight because I have an exam tomorrow and all that fun stuff. So I'm great with those conversations. We can talk about all kinds of stuff like that. If you answered, I think it was B, I live in Pennsauken. This is my little Pennsauken box. If you know anything about Pennsauken, there are many Pennsauken boxes because they look like a box. That's why they're called that. This is it before my husband and I fixed it up, but this was our first home. We bought it a couple years ago. And I live here with my 2 little fur kiddos and my husband. This is Bella and this is Winnie. They're very cute. And I think that's it about that. Oh yes, and then number 4, I changed my major 3 times. That would have been really impressive if I changed my major 8 times, but I think it would have probably taken me like 10 years to graduate, unless I changed like 4 times in one semester, which is possible and I wouldn't recommend it. I did change my major 3 times. I first was a psychology major in undergrad. That's what I came in as. And then I took a class and I was like, I don't really think I like this, which is funny because now I'm kind of going back to that. So then I changed it to sociology, thinking that that was like vastly different, and it really wasn't. And then I changed it to urban studies. I also changed my minor twice. Let's see, I can't exactly remember what that was, but something about Latin American studies, maybe Spanish, and then psychology is what I ended up with. So I don't know, maybe that's actually 3 times kind of. I think I went into school with a major. Anyway, whatever. Neither here nor there, because now I'm here. All right, and then last question is I worked at Rutgers full-time for 5 years. I worked in this office going on 3 years, and then the office that I worked in prior to this one is called the Student Success Coach Office, which you may have some friends or peers that end up being part of that support network as well. That's a wonderful office too. They do a lot of similar work, but our office specifically works with students from a certain financial bracket and mostly first generation students, which is very much how I came into school. I wasn't an EOF student. I should have been. I was like very ignorant to the whole college thing and didn't know what the heck I was doing. But that's very near and dear to my heart, which so I'm very happy that I ended up here. Before that, I worked at a nonprofit called Cooper Study Partnership in Camden. Loved that. That was my first full-time job outside of school. I thought that that was sort of what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. And, you know, people say like, what do you want to do with your life? I really took that to heart. And I was like, this is what I want to do. And then I very soon realized that that wasn't it. And I was like, oh gosh, I really don't want to do this kind of work. Not to, again, throw any shade on that, but that just wasn't my calling, what I felt like was my purpose. Before that role, I worked as a graduate assistant, which we can talk about graduate assistantships if grad school is something that you're thinking about in life, or think about later on. But I did a grad school grad assistantship in the Office of Fraternity and Sorority Affairs on campus. And I really loved it, but I was like very much, I don't want to do this type of work. Like, don't tell me I'm good at it because I don't want to work in higher education, blah, blah, blah. And my supervisor / mentor, now friend, was like, you're really good at this. You're going to come back to it someday. And it's like, whatever, you don't know anything about my life. So then I graduated, got a full-time job, thinking it was what I wanted to do, hated it, and then ended up back at Rutgers-Camden working in higher education when there was an opening. So that's how funny life is. And I will be here to support you all throughout that. And so lastly, again, if you have not figured it out already, I'm very much here for you all. My cell phone number is there on the screen. We will also communicate a lot through email probably, but Canvas is something that we're going to utilize during the Summer Institute and also during your whole college career. So that's like a Rutgers University platform. I'm not sure if your high school ever had any like kind of online platform things. I'm like having a flashback to high school where we had some like sticky note thing, but that was like all the rage and that was like a long time ago. So I don't know if they use anything like that anymore. So we'll go through Canvas later in the Summer Institute, so you don't need to worry about that too much. But that's my email. You can reach out to me anytime. If it's 4 a.m, I'm not going to answer you. I'm going to answer you back when I wake up at like 6. So I don't know if you'll be up at 6, but that's when I'm going to answer you. And so then also, this is my Instagram. This is not a shameless plug. I do not want a lot of followers. As you can see, this is not my jam. But I do like to connect with students as much as I can. And so if this is like your jam, then maybe you can follow me and get to know me a little bit better through social media. I know that that's how a lot of people have been connecting this last year. So If that's your jam, great. If not, that's cool. I'll still post every, once a month, which is probably how much I post. So that's me in a nutshell. And so again, I appreciate you all for indulging me. All right, let's see, Vishwa, you said Giselle and you said you prefer Ozzy, is that right? Okay. Giselle and Ozzy, looks like you two got a tie. Is that right, Vishwa? Okay, all right. So I'm just gonna like three-way tie this because there's only three of you and I just appreciate you putting your cameras on. So I'll send you each a little something. But I wanted to just kind of open the floor for each of you and see if any of you had questions about anything. It can be anything. It doesn't need to be Summer Institute related. It doesn't need to be college related. Like we can just talk about anything at this point. So I will stop talking now because I'm tired of my voice. But does anybody have any questions about anything whatsoever?
So I have a question. I haven't chosen my major yet. I'm still undecided on it. And I was thinking about a psych major. I want to ask you how you feel about it and like what classes you took in that major, how it went. Like what was like something that you like, did you like it? How was it for you?
This is a phenomenal question. Amanda, I saw you give a thumbs up. I have some answers for this, but did you want to talk on this at all?
You can go first. I can talk after you. Thank you.
Yeah. So also, if you have questions for these wonderful peer coaches, please feel free to ask them too. I won't be offended. So I think psychology is a wonderful major, truly. I think that some of the most fantastic researchers are in that department. And we do have like a graduate program for psychology. It's not what's called clinical psychology graduate program. It's a research-based graduate program, which I'll talk a little bit about what those two differences are. I'm saying graduate school about this because psychology is one of those degrees where you're going to have to acknowledge that you will need a master's degree. It's just one of those things at this point. Higher education, we've seen a trend where the value of a bachelor's degree for a lot of fields is now equivalent to like a high school diploma. And the value of a master's degree is now equivalent to the value of a bachelor's degree. So everything has kind of shifted a little bit. And that's not to say that bachelor's degrees aren't important. That's probably to say that they're more important than ever. But that being said, when you have a degree like a psychology degree, which unfortunately tends to be the default for a lot of people, you just have to not make it your default, right? You have to be very engaged in that program. You have to like find experiences outside of the classroom. And so working with professors in like teaching assistantships, which is like helping them with their class, or research assistantships, which is even better because we are a research university. We have so many actual researchers who teach classes. That's something that you're going to have to do, right? You can't just, and that's really goes for anything, but I would say especially for social sciences like psychology. Very similar kind of story. I was an urban studies major. I minored in psychology. That was my end game for college. But I knew I was going to have to get a master's degree. Did I have to? Probably not, right? You don't have to do anything, but it just put me in a position that a lot of other people weren't in, and just kind of gives you that edge and it opens a lot more opportunities for you than having a bachelor's degree in a field like that. When you get your master's, it's just a bit more specified of a field. You spend a couple years really focused in on that field versus in undergrad for your bachelor's, you tend to kind of learn about the whole field and dabble around a little bit. It's then your responsibility to really kind of focus in. But unfortunately, that doesn't always happen with our students. And so I'll just be very honest and blunt and say that for things like psychology, you will likely need a master's degree to do the things that you want to do with that degree. Does that answer your question? Does that terrify you? Yes, okay. I promise it's not that bad. And we can talk about things like that, right? So another funny story. I'll tell a lot of stories about myself just for relevance sake. I went into school with a psychology major because I was pretty dedicated to the idea of becoming a therapist, right? A psychologist. And then I figured out really quickly that most psychologists do like 8 to 10 years of school. And I was like, what the heck? I don't want to do that. I'm not doing that. So let me figure something else out. And that's began my like major change journey. So then I did that. I took a little bit longer to graduate. You know, the standard is 4 years. I think it took me like 5, maybe 4.5. I can't remember. I went into a master's program. It was supposed to be an accelerated program. Life happened, it took me a little longer. Was supposed to be 1 year, it took me 2 years. And then I took a couple years off. And while I was in my master's program for public policy, my last year, I had this like epiphany and I was like, I don't want to do this. I was like, this is not it. This is not what I want to do. Public policy is very like government, legislation, all that kind of stuff, which I have a, you know, I care very much about human rights and I still do. So that's kind of what led me in that direction, but that's not the way that I wanted to care about human rights, right? So I figured that out in my last year. I was like, what do I do now? I'm not going to just like stop because I'm almost done. So I was like, I'll just figure it out later. So I finished that degree. And then I did, I figured it out later. And I was like, this is what I want to do. I want to be a licensed counselor. And so now I'm in the master's in social work program, but the clinical track, which clinical sides of social work mean, it's similar to the clinical side of psychology. There's limitations to the clinical side of social work versus the clinical side of psychology, but it's similar enough that I was like, I can do what I want to do with this degree. So now I'm back in school and I'm not going to be done until summer of 2023. And guess what? I'm ending up in a very similar spot as to where I would have been had I just done the original plan, gone through the 8 years of school, I would have been done, right? So I don't want you to not choose things because the path might be a little bit more intensive or a little bit more challenging, because life is funny and you will just end up there anyway. It's just going to take longer, right? So we can talk more about this and we can talk about your interests and we can talk about career assessments, the career center, utilizing resources, talking to other students. Like I'll put you onto a whole bunch of different stuff. But don't panic about the longer journey of psychology. If that is something that you're interested in, I would say if that's what you're leaning towards, you can declare that as a major and you can always change it later. The like tipping point of when you want to really have a defined major is your, I think it's second semester sophomore year, but I think you should really have it done by the end of your first semester sophomore year. So you have like 3 full semesters to kind of figure things out. And we'll do a lot of exploration during that. So if that's what your heart is telling you, I say trust your instincts. I can always email you some other resources too in the meantime. But anyway, that's my long-winded answer about that. And now you know that I was a hot mess in school. And I did okay. I have a nice house and some nice fur kids and a husband, and I love my job. So not bad. Amanda, did you want to say anything? I'm so sorry.
Can I add just something really quick? I'm sorry, I know this meeting was like get to know your counselor, but I did want to add, I started as a bio major and I've always been interested in psych. So I picked up a psych minor and I love the classes so much that I decided to take more. And then I just picked up a second major in psych. I really enjoyed it. But my career, it is going to be with my bio degree. It's just nice to have that psych also. But if you ever want to know like fun classes and good professors, I can always tell you because I really enjoyed the majority of my classes.
Thank you for sharing that. There really is some wonderful professors in the psych department. I think there's great professors across the board, but you'll start to get a lot of emails from Rutgers, and in almost like all of the like newsletter emails, there's always some kind of highlight being done on one of the psychology professors. They just do a lot of really amazing work that's shaping the fields that they're working in. So it's an amazing field. I just, have those disclaimers, but like Amanda is planning to go to grad school, right? And even though you're pursuing in biology, that's still something that it should be a thought. Any other questions about anything whatsoever? Again, it doesn't have to be summer institute or school or anything, or it could be, or any questions for your peer coaches. Yes, so I did work in, sorry, the question is, did you ever join a sorority or any clubs while you're in college? Let's see, I was a part of clubs, I think. I honestly can't remember back to the undergrad. I was a part of clubs. I did join Greek life as well, which is the other term, sort of the slang term for fraternity and sorority life. And I did work in that office. I have a couple of gems for that too, right? So specifically for fraternity and sorority life, I'm sure you've all seen the movies and seen the bad things and all that kind of stuff. I'm not going to say that all of that's not true, right? So I'm always going to keep it real and be honest with you all. But there's a lot of downsides to fraternity and sorority life. There is a lot of positives. And so people will tell you very often you should do your research about these organizations. When somebody told me that, I didn't understand it. And I was just like, these people are nice, I'm going to join, right? And that was kind of that. And I really wish that I could tell my younger self to focus more about what the national organization stood for, right? Because fraternities and sororities, they're just a small piece of a national organization. There's a lot of times very similar fraternities and sororities on each campus across the United States, or maybe on the East Coast or regionally, but it's not just one individual thing unless it's a local thing, but that's a whole other story. And so I didn't really understand what that meant when people said, like, do your research. I didn't do any research. People were nice to me and I was like, great. And so I think that if that is something you're considering, if you have family members that have been in fraternity and sorority life, that's great. They're probably going to be biased about their organization and say that it's the best. Find out on your own, right? Talk to the people that are in the organization, not only on our campus, but nationally if you can, or at some other campuses. Look into the organizations that you're thinking about. So like, what do they stand for, right? Look at if certain things are important to you, right? So like human rights, I just mentioned that. Social justice and human rights, if that's important to you, look at their past history and what they've actually advocated for and have been involved in. What things have they supported? Do they support certain legislation that you disagree with? Do they support things that you're in favor with, right? Find out about those things first before you make a commitment and a pledge to something that you'll probably be associated with for a long time, right? So for clubs, I'll say it's less serious than that. Clubs, it's more of a time commitment. And I honestly, I cannot remember if I was part of clubs on campus. I'm sure I was, but I don't really know, which shows, how involved maybe I was. I was a part of a program called Civic Scholars, which is still around today. And that's a service-based organization through the Office of Civic Engagement. And so they actually provide a scholarship. And so if you're interested in doing things like community service, but on a little bit of a higher level, that's definitely something that I can put you on to and connect you with. And then other than that, I really can't even think of anything. But yes, there's a lot of clubs on campus. And we have a whole website that shows, I think there's over like 100 active clubs right now, maybe around 100 active clubs right now. But there's so many different things. And I would say my advice for clubs is it doesn't just have to be things that like build on your resume. It can be things that you're just like purely interested in. Like there's a video game club on campus. I don't think they call themselves that, but that's like ultimately what it is. And they just get together and, play video games on campus. There's like a loungy area where you used to be able to do that. Obviously times look different now, but that's something that people did just for leisure, right? There's a photography club. A lot of people join that even if they're not interested in pursuing photography, but they're just interested in photography, right? Or want to learn about it. And then there's the more academic based clubs, right? Chess team, I don't know the answer to that. But fun fact, you can create a club, which I highly recommend, highly recommend. So creating a club is not, I think there's a club, not a team now. Okay, gotcha. Creating a club is not as difficult as it may seem. I think you need like 5 other people who want to do that club. It is, you have to do some work, right? Like you have to like find 5 other people or 4 other people. You have to like put together a couple of documents, but I promise that it's such a great experience to have and to put on your resume that you were the founder of a club. And if ever, you know, in life, you're ever doing anything where it's like you need like management skills or organizational skills or leadership skills, which is really everything in life, right? That is such a great experience to be able to lean back on and pull from. That's what we call transferable skills, right? It's not just one event that it's going to be beneficial for, it's like a lot of things in your life. So we can explore that for sure, some more in life. Vishwa and Amanda, were you 2 part of clubs? Or are you part of clubs? I don't know why I just said that like you're not here anymore.
My freshman year, I was a member of the biology club, but I struggled a lot academically, so I had to not do it anymore because you do have to go to all the meetings in order to remain a member. But it's fun and I do recommend it. I wish I'd stuck with it longer.
I am currently part of SNA, which is like Student Nurses Association. And I think in my sophomore year, I was also class representative for the club. And I am part of 2 honor society on campus and part of honors college. So those are the only stuff. I was part of a couple clubs, but just like Amanda, I didn't go to meetings and I just get emails from them now, but that's all I do.
Yes, so there's different levels to it, right? Like obviously these 2 here are student leaders. And so it's not to say that you can't be involved in other ways, right? Or be a leader in other ways. But I definitely would encourage club membership mainly for the sake of just engaging with other people and like doing something outside of class. And then the other fact of, you know, being a fantastic resume builder, even if it doesn't feel like it, even if you're a general member and you're not like on the executive board, you're a leadership, you know, position, it still shows that you're like part of something bigger than yourself, right? And people want to see that in a candidate for jobs or grad school or whatever. Vishwa, did you see that question? It's for you. Yeah, you get to stop talking.
So I'm still in nursing school. I'm going to be a senior next year. So for my past 3 years experience, well, being a nursing student is super tough, honestly. And it was really hard for me because first, when I started, I wasn't really clear that I wanted to do nursing. I applied for it, I got into school, and then I was like, all right, let's do nursing. So, but then as I took classes and then as I met professors who are also nurses and also professors, talked with them, and then I really saw the motive towards becoming a nurse, and which really opened my mind. And then like right now, I just can't wait to graduate and start working in the field. Like after that, thank you. After that, talking to them, I really felt like I wanted to start doing something from right now when I'm in school. So I got a job at a hospital as a assistant, like a nurse assistant, and it's really helping me with understanding everything. Even though we are during COVID time, I didn't have clinicals, so I didn't have hands-on experience, but my professors and all the staff in nursing school, they encouraged us to get these jobs so that we would get experience. And honestly, it's really good. You would love it once it's okay. So the curriculum and everything is so hard, but don't be scared. Like once you're through it, you'll have that realization of satisfaction. So don't worry about it. But it's tough, but you have to get through it. And it's a lot of like prioritizing your time management. It has to do a lot of stuff with that. Like you have to give time to classes, and you would have to read books. Yeah, that's something that I learned. I never read my textbooks, but you have to do that in nursing school. In college, actually, never mind.
Yeah, that's a very good point, right? Because I was very similar. I was not a good student in high school. I vividly remember that, even though I don't remember much about high school, but I know that I wasn't a very good student in high school. Things just kind of came naturally to me. So if I gave like the slightest bit of effort, then I'd be fine, right? And then in college, I was like, oh no, this is not, this is not it. And I took a statistics class, which I'm very bad at math. You all learn that too. And I was like, I have to study for like ever. Like I was like, I need to study so much for this class. And I did. I studied an absurd amount of time, to the point where my professor pulled me aside after class one day and was like, hey, I think you can like ease up on the studying. And I was like, I don't think so, because if I do, I'm not going to do well. I actually ended up getting the highest grade for like one of the exams in the class. And when he called my name, I was like, who? Like, what are you talking about? But it was really, really something that was very evident to me, that I knew I wasn't going to like pass if I didn't give my all to this class and read the textbook, like truly read the textbook, make notes, flashcards, like the whole nine, right? And so Vishwa, can you just talk a little bit more about, and Amanda actually, because, you know, I know we talk a lot about social sciences and hard sciences and stuff. Everything is going to be challenging. That's not a bad thing. It's supposed to be challenging because that's how you grow. But can you both maybe talk a little bit about like what actually got you through and like how you were successful? Vishwa, I think you talked a little bit about your peers in classes, right? Previously. And so can you just talk briefly about your experiences of what actually got you through?
So I was one of those students when I was in high school that would never speak to anyone in class, like literally 0 people. I would only communicate with my teachers, that too only when I needed help. Because just like I said, like high school was easy, but it's a different thing for college. And then when I came for summer institute, and at that time we were on campus, it wasn't online. I was so scared, like my parents dropped me off, and then I'm just sitting in my room. I'm like, all right, what's next? And I was like forced to talk with others because I didn't know what was next. And I started building this relationship with people, and I started getting to know people. So I feel like it was first time ever in my life where I was experiencing like talking to others and making friends and everything. I mean, I had friends, but my circle was super small. And then I became like friends with this group of this nursing students during our summer institute. And till this date, I'm friends with them. And then we made a study group then, and we have continued our study group throughout this years. It has been 3 years since summer institute. I have like my 2018-2020 class on my back of my t-shirt. so yeah, and it was honestly make friends, make like people, like be friends with people who are in your major, and you guys will get through this together because you're on the same boat. So yeah, and also get to know your professors and your other staff, like for example your counselors, or I would say your advisors. Really important people. Amanda.
I'm a little envious of you because I feel like I had the complete opposite experience. I don't know what it was, but it's like the people that I met with the bio majors were so catty. It's like they wouldn't want to help you study because they didn't want you to do better than they were doing, which is so weird. You think you'd outgrow that from high school, but I did find a nice group of friends and we'd study, and tutoring definitely helped too. Also, of course, Sarah helped so much. Like I went through a lot of hard stuff and she helped a lot. And then I know I had to work with the Office of Disability Services because I had a traumatic brain injury, so they helped with accommodations. But yeah, you just have to build your own team. And once you have that team, you'll be good because it's teamwork makes the dream work. That's how I like ended my intro video for Instagram, but it's true.
Thank you for sharing that. I also just want to point out that when I was waving, that was not about myself. That was about tutoring. It is very important. But thank you for the plug. I very much, you made it easy, Amanda. You're a wonderful and proactive and engaged student. So, but I think that that's really important, right? So some of this is not going to be all like sunshine and rainbows, and some of these experiences are not going to come so easily. Like maybe it does take a little bit longer for you to find your circle of people, right? I don't think I found my circle of people until graduate school, really, the first time. But I think that, you know, it takes a little while sometimes, right? You're trying to grow and learn about yourself and figure out what works for you, what doesn't work for you, and what's right for you and what's not right for you, right? Like all these things are your life experience, and it's not going to be packaged in this nice little bow all the time. But that's not to say that it's not still a beautiful experience. I'm going to say one thing really quick, and then I'm going to go to you, Vishwa. I know that the peer coaches have to go soon because the session is at 7, that they are leading. If you tuned into their Instagram live on Tuesday, was that Tuesday? I don't know. Monday?
Monday, yeah.
Monday. If you tuned into their Instagram live on Monday, and you didn't register for this one that's happening next, please feel free to come to this one still. You're more than welcome to hear the wonderful things that they have to say. But I know that you all will have to dip out in a moment, and we'll probably wrap up around then anyway. And we have to because it's in my Zoom room. So, but Vishwa, did you want to say something?
So I just wanted to say, I just stated that I also work as a tutor for all the nursing courses and all the prerequisites, but as a tutor too, I made appointments for other tutors. Like I had to be tutored for classes that I didn't do good. So tutoring really helps, even though, so don't, I think Mrs. Waters or no, the Dr. Terrence, he was the one who was talking about, even though you're like a good student, like a good A student, you can still go to tutoring center. It's not like you just go there since you get bad grades. Like tutoring center is like for everyone. It's a learning center. It's not a tutoring center. My bad. So get help if you need it. Honestly, it really helps. Like what I have seen as a tutor is when students come to me, it's like during like their exam is like tomorrow and they come to me like tonight. I can help you. So get help whenever you guys need it, right? Not in the end, right? So that's the only one thing I wanted to say.
Dropping some gems. I love it. There's an analogy or something that I always say a lot, and it's about a car, right? So if you have a car, you have to perform maintenance on this car, right? So you change your oil, you get gas, all these things. If you don't, and really about the oil, if you don't change your oil ever, then your car is going to blow up. So do you just wait for that to happen and then you get a new car, which is like a whole big expense and a really big, journey of getting a new car? No, you spend like a couple bucks to change your oil every so often, right? Every 5,000 miles, something like that, as a way of maintenance. And that's what things like tutoring are, and a lot of other things of general maintenance, right? But things like that, proactive things that you can do along the way, that's going to make things so much easier later on, right? So Amanda, you wanted to say something really quick to piggyback off Vishwa, I think.
Yeah, just with the tutoring, I only saw a few tutors because there's only so many for like the specific subjects, but I would ask them questions that I thought were stupid questions, and they would always throw there's no such thing as stupid questions, which is true. Literally, they're there to help you no matter what your question is, even if it's a simple addition problem. That's what they're there for, and they're happy to help.
Yes, I ask the addition problems all the time. So single digits, right? That's where I'm at. I have a master's degree, but it's fine. I very much want to just emphasize that there aren't stupid questions. That's not a thing, right? When I talk about self-advocacy, I always find that like the smartest people I've ever met are people that ask questions. And a lot of times, like you might think to yourself, like, oh, this is a common question. Like, why didn't they know that? It doesn't matter that they didn't know it. What matters is that they're going to know now because they asked the question, right? And so they're probably going to be the people that always know the answers and have the knowledge more so than the people who don't ask the questions and try and figure it out or spend 10 times as long trying to figure it out because they're embarrassed to ask the question. So please know that like the smartest people ask the questions, even if, you know, maybe like, oh, it seems like a silly question or, you know, they should have known that already. Who cares? They asked the question and now they know, right? So please like keep in mind that I know that's cliche to say no questions are stupid. It's the truth. That's why it's cliche. So we will, I think, conclude then, but I want to just quick survey, see if you guys are feeling good or nervous. Can we do like a thumbs up if we're good and maybe like the gasping emoji if we're nervous? It's okay if it's the gasping emoji. Okay. I am going to go get myself some more water because again, it's very hot in my house. So I will close out this room. If any of you have any questions whatsoever, please just let me know, right? Like we're here for you. Let myself know, let Amanda know, let Vishwa know. Any questions about like financial aid stuff or anything, doesn't matter what it is. Like if you're curious about the places that I've mentioned that are great to eat around campus, reach out, let me know. So I'm here for you all. I'm excited to work with you further and get to know you all in the future. But now that you know a little bit about me, I will sign off and please join the peer coaches at 7 p.m. Even if you already saw them before. All right, I'll see you all later.